कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, family loses home in early morning fire. No one will stand between students and their futures, says Prime Minister. And U.S. presidential election counting process drags on.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
A family of 6, including a 1-year-old child, is counting their lucky stars after escaping from their burning home safely. The fire started at around 5 a.m. at Namara Settlement in Khalsa Road, Nasinu. Pranita Prakash with the details.
This is what is left of the corrugated iron and timber house which was destroyed in an early morning fire. House owner Kiran Devi says they were sleeping when one of the neighbors raised alarm.
Didn't save anything. At that time we just thought of saving our lives. If we started to save our things, then we would have perished in the fire. We only had 5 minutes because the fire had started to spread quickly.
Devi and her daughter sustained minor injuries. Her daughter Anishma Lal says her mother woke up when she saw the fire.
She called me, Sonam, fire inside. And she said, take out Anisha. And I just quickly take out, he was sleeping in the swing. And I just take out him and I just quickly run outside. And I was calling my neighbor. And then she just came and bring the hose pipe. And then she couldn't save the house because it was very heavy, big fire. We couldn't save our anything.
When I came out, and then I saw the smoke, then I called the family member. Then we went out. My husband and all our family members, we moved out of the house and we were waiting for the fire truck to...
It is still not clear how the fire started. However, the National Fire Authority and police have started the investigation. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama says the government through the Ministry of Education won't tolerate anyone seeking to stand between Fijian students and their futures. Speaking at the Ratokandavu Level School Stakeholders Workshop, Bainimarama highlighted that there is an old stigma of privilege and entitlement around RKS that serves no one and must be shed. Venena Rakautonga reports.
The Prime Minister highlighted that this workshop is the start of something new and inclusive where students are focused solely on their studies, sports and how they can honor RKS.
Our students learn as much from their teachers as they do at home, maybe more. With so much riding on the quality and professionalism of your school's leadership and teaching staff, we can never settle for anything less than the best. The better your principals are, the better your teachers are, and the better your coaches are, and the better of every RKS student will be. That principle is bigger than education. It applies to every aspect of society.
The Prime Minister also reminded the students that they will be judged on merit and their hard work will help to succeed.
Don't spend your time looking down on others. Don't waste your life pretending you are superior to anyone due to circumstances of birth or any other superficial reason. Your nation needs better from you.
Bainimarama highlighted that the workshop will determine how RKS can play a role to build a better nation, a stronger nation, a Fiji for all Fijians. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
Hundreds of Fijians have gathered at the FMF Gymnasium in Suva to enjoy the Mirchi FM and Radio Fiji 2 Diwali Doom. The event currently underway began with various competitions, which included poster tali and rangoli making. The public are witnessing their favourite radio personalities performing live on stage. Various entertainment and dance competitions will be performed during the Diwali Doom. Fijian Broadcasting Corporation Manager, Radio Program Shamilochan Lal says the main event is underway.
We have got COVID-19 reminders to ensure that people are safe here, and we're giving free giveaway, calendar giveaways of 46 stations, and people are still coming. People are still coming, and I just went and peeked inside and I said, oh my goodness, where are we going to get people seated?
Up ahead, RFMF personnel receive commemorative medal, and Consumer Watchdog begins festive season operations.
मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
The Fiji Corrections Service has recognised the importance of engaging other stakeholders for its rehabilitation programs. One key stakeholder is the Fiji Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission, who have been part of the reform and rehabilitation efforts. Vinina Rakautonga reports.
The Fiji Corrections Service believes support from key partners is crucial for fair treatment of inmates.
I believe it is important for the sake of inmates under our care. They all human beings. Our work as correction officers, as rehabilitation officers, also need their treatment to be fair and firm.
Panapasa says stakeholders like the Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission have helped pave the way for inmates to be accepted back in the community.
I believe it would help our work as correction officers, particularly in the awareness of treatment of offenders, acceptance of ex-offenders who are back in the community, just in line with our vision and mission, the strategies that we are now using.
And ordinarily we see each other in rather, difficult circumstances. We get complaints, we receive those yellow letters, then we call you and we come and see you. Sometimes our exchange can be a bit strained, but our goal remains collective. I think we both recognize that, look, we've got lives under our custody. We have this very, very important responsibility to ensure that we don't subject anyone to harm.
In line with the application of the Mandela rules, the first batch of prison officers graduated from the Fiji Corrections Service on Thursday. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
129 serving and ex-servicemen and women of the Republic of Fiji military forces were honoured for their service with the 50th anniversary medal. President and RFMF Commander-in-Chief Major General retired Chiochi Kondrote says they must continue to maintain the trust and confidence of Fijians at all times. Saniani Boiler reports Kondrote says as Commander-in-Chief he is charging them with the responsibility to keep all Fijians safe.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime parade for the 129 military officers and former officers as they were recognized for their efforts in ensuring the safety of Fijians.
I would like to congratulate you, the recipients of the award. Commend and thank all ranks for the manner in which you and your predecessors, some of whom have received their awards over the past weeks, the way you have remained resolute and steadfast in supporting our governments of the day and our people to this historical and important milestone since independence in our history as an independent sovereign state.
Ex-serviceman Major Sanaila Seru says he was not only honoring himself or the tradition of the army, but his relatives who also served in the military.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime parade. They thought that I was going to fall. I said, no, I'm not going to fall. I'm going to stand here, not only to honor me, honor my father who was in the Navy during the Second World War, my uncle who went to Malaya, and those, my families that served in the army.
Retired Major Seru joined the army in 1975 and was also part of the RFMF's tour of duty missions for Lebanon and Sinai. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
With the Festival of Lights a week away, the Fijian Competition and the Consumer Commission and the Consumer Council have already begun their market inspections. The inspection is being carried out to ensure that consumers are not ripped off due to unethical practices by some traders, especially during this difficult time. Pranita Prakash reports.
Past trends show that commercial hype during such festivals often lead to unfair trading practices.
Right now our focus is on Diwali related products, so food stuff to do with Diwali. There's puja items like incense, there's garments like sari, salwar kameezes, traditional Indian outfits.
We'll be always on the ground, making sure that, whatever promotions are there, whatever advertisements, we are also monitoring all the advertisements. We will be making sure that whatever prices are being advertised, the consumers get the same deal in store.
Consumers have also been urged to exercise their rights and responsibilities by making smart and informed decisions.
Consumers are advised to be very practical when shopping, with wide range of goods to choose from. We understand that you might get tempted to purchase items that you may not need. So Council therefore advises you all to be mindful of your budget and ability to spend.
Businesses have also been reminded to refrain from unscrupulous trading practices and provide consumers value for their money. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
The South Pacific Communities Land Resources Division is currently raising awareness on African swine fever and its effects on pigs. Animal Health and Production Officer Eleanor Salele says swine fever is affecting livestock in Papua New Guinea and it's crucial for the Biosecurity Authority of Fiji to strengthen its surveillance to ensure that it does not enter our borders. Sanyani Boiler reports.
African swine fever is a highly contagious and deadly virus disease affecting both domestic and wild pigs of all ages.
If you're a traveler coming from an ASF-affected country, you could be carrying ASF. If you visited one of these affected farms, you could be carrying one of this virus. And that's how this disease spreads as well to other countries. You could be taking it back to your own country. Even pork meat or pig meat, any pork products that you bring in from any ASF affected countries, you should ensure that that you're following proper protocols, biosecurity protocols, and declare any meat products that you bring into the country.
Salele says they're working closely with relevant stakeholders to eradicate the disease.
In SPC, we are trying to encourage biosecurity officers, animal health specialists as well for Pacific region to strengthen their biosecurity bodies, and also raise awareness for travelers, farmers, and also the public in general.
Land Resources Division Director Karen Mapusua says they work to ensure the safety of food and lives in the Pacific.
How we protect our islands while we're growing the food, the sustainable agriculture piece, which includes pest and disease management, includes how we manage our soils, extension, plant pathology, entomology, biosecurity, organic agriculture, and value chain development.
Papua New Guinea is the only island in the South Pacific that has the African swine fever affecting pigs. Sainiani Boila, FBC News.
Coming up in sports, Naita Asiri to face Suva in skipper finals next week. And Ipeli Nawalu aims to make a comeback in volleyball.
Pula nadang go approach lang garse, go erkraki. Do televisione na parang na Radio Fijian, nandom ibit.
Radio Fijian, nandom ibit.
Defending champions Ramsamy Suva will feature in the Skipper Cup final for the third year in a row. Suva is also eyeing the three-peat in Fiji's premier rugby competition after beating Namosi 24-16 in the semi-finals today at ANZ Stadium in Suva. Karolini Tavi has more on Suva's win.
Tamani.
Fiji's seven-star Terio Tamani was outstanding for Suva at half-back with his box kicks and passes. Veteran Sireli Landua scored the first point of the match in the 21st minute and was converted by fullback Anile Malele. Namosi regrouped to give outside centre Onisi Ratave a chance at a try. Suva continued with the momentum and were given 2 successive penalties, but they opted for scrum and it paid off and were awarded a penalty try. The game lived up to expectation with Namosi putting pressure on the home side, however they couldn't convert it to points. Suva finished the game with 13 players after Keponi Paul and Israel Lendua were yellow-carded, but it did not change the result of the game with Suva winning 24-16. Suva manager Nemani Tuifangalele says Namosi gave them a good run, but they managed to pull through.
We know that Namosi is not going to be very easy. Today we met last week
Today they were a different species altogether. But yes, we're thankful that we are now, the game is over.
This year was any team could lift the competition, as prep going into the first game was short. And we'd like to thank Namush for giving us a good game this afternoon.
Suva will take on Naitasiri in the final of the Skipper Cup competition next week. Carlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
Super sub Etonia Rokotuisawa was the hero for the Highlanders after slotting a penalty in extra time for a 2017 win against Nandronga Ratudakambao Park in Nausori. Both teams were tied at 17-all at full time, but Naitasiri's clinical style of play paid off and were awarded a penalty during extra time. Rokotuisawa booted Naitasiri to victory and into the finals against Suva next week. Here are the highlights.
It's still there. Now someone tried to go through over there, and referee says no, held up. That's crashed over. He's given the try. Solo Navuso. It's there. Now picked up by Doka Mbusa. Over he goes. And he's got the try. As Naitasiri drive. Referee playing advantage for Naitasiri. It's there for Naitasiri. They pick it up and they go over. And the try is there. Naitasiri have hit the lead. Skipper Cup semi-final clash. Shooter Lutumailangi. Left boot. It's over. Shooter Lutumailangi. Fighting hard against Naitasiri, very close to the upright. Nandrongago charging up. The referee is there and he will want to look at that. Ball, I think, was lost, but did Nandrongago over the line? I think everybody thinks Lucas Alamba has. He needs to check on that, and he moves in and says Lucas Alamba has scored. What a finish! Knife edge finish. 17-15. They tried once for the fair brother, lost to Namosi. They can be in the final to challenge for a piece of silverware. Etonia Rokotuisawa boots Naitasiri to the final of the Skipper Cup 2020.
A new Women's Skipper Cup champion will be crowned next weekend after 2019 winner Tailevu was beaten by Lautoka 25-22. For Lautoka centre Vani Mbuleki, the win was a memorable one for her. The Lautoka will feature in the Vanua Championship next year. Mbuleki began playing 15s this year and says the transition from 7s has not been easy. She says she's aiming for a spot in the Fijian 15s team.
I have never played rugby before, and I thank God for giving me this opportunity to showcase my talent during the skipper competition. I'm also aiming to get through to the Fijian 15 squad and the World Cup next year.
In another semi-final, Naitasiri defeated Suva 27-24 to secure its spot in the final next week. The Suva Rugby Union will be introducing a new development platform with its Junior Escort Shield competition. The tournament will be officially launched on November 14th, with competition proper to begin from November 21st. Caroline Tavi with the details.
This is part of Suva Rugby Union's campaign to build more depth in the club competition, starting from grassroots level rugby.
Suva is trying to give a platform where there will be more depth for the clubs, beginning from junior level. And as you've seen with the Ministry of Education, that is much more focus on academic activities now. We respect that, but at the same time, we want to see where we can tap talents of our young players.
The Suva Barbarians rugby team will be participating for the first time in the Suva Rugby Union Junior Escort Shield and knows how intense the competition can be.
I think come next week we are ready for the tournament. We have spent over 4 weeks with our preparations, and the boys they've been training in the USP ground for a couple of weeks. Yes, come next week we are very hopeful that we are going to participate to our level best.
The Suva Rugby Union Junior Escort Shield competition will begin next week, with 6 teams each competing in the under-14 and under-16 grade. Caroline Tavi, FBC Sports.
Former Fiji volleyball captain Epeli Nawalu is planning to make a comeback to the sport after 2 years. The 34-year-old is part of the Aces volleyball team from Vesari that took part in the Digicel Suva Volleyball Club League competition at the LICI multi-purpose courts in Suva. Nawalu was part of the gold medal winning team in the 2018 Oceania Volleyball Championship. Karleni Tavi has more.
Epeli Nawalu says he will use the Suva Volleyball League competition as a platform to develop his young team.
I'm back at Suva with some of my young players whom I'm willing to develop this season. We chose Suva this year because development plans for Suva is far better than any other associations that I can see.
Nawalu has set his sights on donning the national jumper again.
Joining the national squad again is a bonus for me. Depends on, because national level is the criteria we have to meet in terms of fitness and skills, and most of the young players coming up in this time are well talented as well.
The Suva Volleyball Association is impressed with the level of competition displayed in the first rounds.
Through the games that we've been having, the weekly club games we've been having for the last month, we've seen that it's very competitive. There's a lot of old players that have also brought in their teams. Some of the old traditional clubs that were part of Suva in the past years have also come to join Suva this season.
There are 22 men and 8 women's teams that will be competing over 24 weeks in the Suva Volleyball Club competition. Karleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
In weather, cloudy conditions and brief showers prevailed over the group today. A quick look at the weather map in the west. Fine apart from afternoon or evening showers and possible thunderstorms. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, a rather humid day with a mixture of sun and clouds and a passing shower. And up north, it was a beautiful day with mostly sunny conditions. At sea, easterly winds 15 to 20 knots, fresh at times, moderate to rough seas. And turning to the tide, the next high tide is at 12:16 tomorrow morning, with the low tide at 6:54 a.m. Sunrise is at 5:24. Outlook for tomorrow is fine apart from brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, mainly fine. And our further outlook, we're looking further on to Monday. Expect cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and the interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from afternoon or evening showers. And recapping the main stories for tonight, family loses home in early morning fire. No one will stand between students and their future, says PM. And US presidential election counting process drags on. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking, should those found breaching LTA laws and buses be prosecuted? Visit our FBC website to answer. And be sure to send us newsworthy pictures and videos to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, by Facebook page FBC News and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow from the team and I, stay safe. Bye for now.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.